Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we're going to be having a look at Big Red-40TECH's BATTLETECH the Charger. Judging from the thumbnail, it doesn't look like they had a positive experience with the Charger, but you know me. I like monkeying with this thing. I like crashing into mechs. It's a fun time, so grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's roll the film and see what he has to say about this. BATTLETECH the Charger. All right, let's see what they have to say about this.
In this video, we are going to go over one of the most infamous series of battle mechs in the history of BATTLETECH, and one which is often ridiculed both in-universe and without.
Yeah, because everyone likes to dog on the emotional support lasers. All 5 of them. But here's the thing. In my experience with the Charger, it's not about the firepower you have here. It's about the legs, and it's about the arms. Because if used properly, they can do more damage than a goose rifle. Blasphemy, I know.
The mech we are going to be covering today is the Charger. An assault mech weighing in at 80 tons, the Charger was originally designed by Wells Technologies and began production in 2665. The design was criticized severely when it began production, and over 1,000 units would be built and sold by Wells during the production run of this assault mech. The design itself was considered poor enough that even prior to the Succession Wars, the Star League Defense Force had ended all purchases of the Charger prior to its collapse.
That is an very unfortunate blight upon their reputation. I don't think that's going to be one they're going to recover from very easily. Although, if you can't swindle them for money, you might try the Compellins. You might try the Compellins, or you might try House Leo. I hear they're in need of scout mechs. And in general, this was supposed to be an assault class scout mech. That's what its original purpose was for. Now, do we use it that way? No. But again, we're going to get to that.
Viewing the unit as being uncompetitive even as a training mech, Wells had stockpiled too many units, falsely believing that the SLDF would continue to purchase it with any kind of frequency. It was only the Succession Wars that ironically saved the Charger, led by a desperate attempt by the Draconis Combine to purchase anything that even looked like a battle mech.
I love how the Draconis Combine, of all things, ended up saving this damn thing. And to be fair, right, I was joking a little bit earlier about the Compellins. They usually buy a lot of things. But the Draconis Combine buying these things, kind of ironic, because you would think them, of all people, would have a basement full of mechs somewhere. Spoiler alert, I believe they did, but, you know.
By the end of the Third Succession War, approximately 500 of these units remained of the original batch, which they'd constructed. They would continue to produce them throughout the Succession Wars, but Wells was bought out by Luthien Armor Works, largely due to them being involved in a scandal exporting Charger components through the black market to support other houses with equipment. All production would cease on this unit.
Honestly, that's just the way business goes. That is just the way that business goes. You really think they were just gonna support one house? Come on now. Capitalism sees you do things that you just don't want to do. And again, I want to make a distinction. I might be a merc, but I just want enough to live. Like, that's it. I just want to be able to put a I just want to put a mech bay over my mechs, my techs, and other than that, I mean, that's all I really need. If you have to be selling stuff via the black market, you might want to reconsider things. Anyways.
As of 3030, mech warriors, particularly in the DCMS, considered it to be a punishment to be assigned to one of these vehicles. Originally, it was envisioned as being a heavy scout, something that could move fast but still take fire before exfiltrating itself from the situation it was in. The Charger, in its original version, the CGR-1A1, failed to deliver as a scout mech and would fail at almost every job it was given afterwards. Close combat is the only functional means of harming other targets in essence. The unit was built around the heaviest, largest engine ever produced for a normal-sized battle mech, that being the standard LTV 400 engine, which weighs 52.5 tons.
Or essentially, this is an engine that essentially weighs the entirety of I was going to say the Hunchback. Think of like a Centurion or a Bushwhacker, somewhere between that range, just for the engine. And this is inside a assault chassis. So basically, it's just a gremlin or two that takes up most of the capacity of this thing, and then you're left with 5 small lasers. Again, not where this thing shines, but I digress.
This engine provides the Charger with a running speed of 86 kilometers per hour, which also gives it 8 movement points in-game. And though this is impressive for an 80-ton battle mech, it comes at the expense of everything else. It would only have, as a primary armament, 5 small lasers, not only providing it with insufficient damage, but with laughable range. In addition, the unit possesses, for its defense, 10 tons of armor, which is substandard for a mech in its weight class. From a gameplay standpoint, and from an in-world standpoint, the standard Charger is arguably the worst mech ever designed that was produced in any significant capacity. It's big, moderately fast, and outperformed in almost every respect by better mechs, and mechs which weigh less. For instance, a Wolverine has the same armor, can jump, and outguns it, and weighs 25 tons less and costs significantly fewer C-bills. To call the Charger a failure is an insult to all other failures by placing them in the same field as them. The scale of this mech's inability, especially for the money, is catastrophic. Some factions would attempt to gain usage out of it during the Succession Wars, and it would see a rebirth once the late generation Starleague era technology began to become increasingly available. Even the Draconis Combine would resume production and utilize its chassis design for other mechs once this became available. Notably, the Capellan Confederation would create the CRG-1A5 during...
Well, would you look at that? They did find a buyer in the Capellans.
The later Succession Wars and the War of 3039, stripping out the 400 standard engine for the 320 standard engine, reducing its speed while using the saved weight to install a massive AC-20 autocannon and twin SRM-6 racks, as well as a medium laser. This configuration was only normally seen in House Liao, and was an uncommon sight at that. Liao did not produce these models domestically and had bought them from the Draconis Combine. With each one of them being a retrofit, the cost in C-bills was great, but this was largely because the Capellan Confederation had very limited ability to build their own domestic assault mechs.
And this is usually why the Capellans are typically seen as the ones that'll pay top dollar for any piece of technology they can get their hands on, whether it's quad mechs, the Charger, or basically any other mech that they could lay their hands on.
Much later, and first produced in 3049, just in time for the clan invasion, The Charger, with the benefit of rediscovered technology, was able to finally fulfill some of its original role in an adequate sense. This new series would be classified as the CRG-3K. The Draconis Combine would install a 400XL engine into the chassis, saving significant weight. It would then install an LRM-20 for long-range fire, as well as 4 medium-pulse lasers, giving it significant teeth in close, especially in comparison to before. Jump jets were applied to the design, allowing it to leap up to 150 meters.
I find it odd that you'd want your Charger to fly. Like, to be fair, I've experimented with this chassis quite a bit. I love the Charger. I don't think I would seriously consider making this thing fly unless I had spare tonnage available, right? He just doesn't necessarily need it, in my opinion. Oh yeah, and that's just my opinion, but the Charger already moves fast enough. I guess you'd be able to go up some terrain if you needed to, but I don't know. Jump jets seem kind of odd to me, especially if you want to avoid generating more heat.
Its defensive capabilities were also bolstered by ferro fibrous armor. Though there would be numerous additional attempts to make the Charger's design more acceptable, they were all attempts to find value in a machine through other means. Some will add things like swords, while others will try to refine the autocannon variant in a new age. But despite this, all of them still have the burden of being based on the original design. The primary strength of the original design doesn't exist. Of its offshoots, the primary benefit is either abandoning its recon role entirely, or by using advanced technology in an attempt to triage it, while still being forced to compete with superior clan mechs or other, more heavily armed inner sphere ones. Its weaknesses are legion. Even in its most refined roles, such as the 3K or its offshoots, it's far from an ideal design. It's simply been made more workable. The Charger was a bold attempt to break the mold of what is expected of a recon and assault mech. Bold doesn't always equate to good, however. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. With that, I'll catch you in the comment section below.
So here's the thing about the Charger. Yes, you do end up, if you want to play the Charger correctly, like you said, abandon the role of scout. You're not a scout in this thing. You are not a scout in this thing. Your designated purpose is to be a holy menace on the battlefield. Your creator gave you 2 fists. Use them. You have a fast engine. Use it. And yes, you will be triaging this thing with superior technology. In my case, I think a lot of the redesigns were perfect when they said, strip the 400 engine, go down to 320. I personally enjoy chainsaws and applying stealth armor to this thing. Now, you might be going, that sounds terrifying. And yes, you'd be right. Now, of course, you could go for a PPC or something like that, but I mean, and while I have tried that, basically, you want to be able to walk up to your enemy and then be able to proceed to bash them with a chainsaw or run them over. And like I was saying earlier, an assault mech's foot directly to the face here does about 14 damage. Now, with other various rules and whatnot, that can essentially destroy an entire mech. However, this is a 1 in 6 chance because that damage is applied to any location on the mech. But essentially, you have a 1 in 6 chance of just completely blasting off the head with one successful charge from the charger. So there is a way to play this. Its intended purpose, never going to work. But with a combination of a bad reputation, you can get your hands on one of these for less than MSRP, usually. And you can use the C-bills from the engine to help pay for some of the upgrades for this thing. Does it require straight up investment? Maybe, but again, you can make the charger work if you want to. It's just learning how to mold the mech to your purposes. The Compellents did this. A lot of other houses did this. Will it work for its original role? Not a chance. And I don't ever deny that. If you want to find the original video, the link will be in the description. And I do want to say that by all accounts, I think that Big Red 40 here is absolutely correct when it comes to the base charger. There's a way to make it work. You will have to refit it, though. This is not one of those mechs you can get off the shelf and it works. There is a way to make it work, though. And this comes from a sheer love of the mech. I love it. I'm going to continue to use it, and to devastating results. And again, this is just the opinion of a humble merc. But if you've loved this video, again, please go check out the original creator, and the link in the description are the cards above. And as always, this has been Annika, signing out.